Hello friends! We've all seen 100-day playthroughs, but I wanted to try one out that I've never seen before. I played 100 days in Stardew Valley selling only seeds. How much of a disaster could it be? And how much money can I make in the first 100 days? Am I crazy? Don't answer that. This challenge actually took way more time and effort than I thought, so if you find this interesting or entertaining, I'd really appreciate if you let me know in the comments or showed your support by liking and subscribing. If there are any other specific Stardew Valley challenges that you'd like to see, I would love to hear about those as well. I know this is a long one, so if you fall asleep during this one, I forgive you, and sweet dreams. Alright, with that, let's get into it. In Stardew Valley, farming usually means buying seeds, planting seeds, harvesting crops, and selling or processing crops for big money and notoriety around Pelican Town. Well, making money and being successful is overrated. In this challenge, I'm going to flip that on its head. Instead of buying seeds and selling everything else, I'm going to sell seeds and nothing else. The ground rules are pretty simple. No selling anything other than seeds. Coffee beans are technically seeds, so I'm going to allow them. Tree seeds are fair game to sell. Tea and tree saplings are not allowed. I am allowed to make money from quests as long as they don't require shipping or selling anything. With the ground rules in place, it's time to start our journey. First, let's start by making my farm. In honor of my seed challenge playthrough, I named it Seedy Farm, and of course, seeds are going to be my only way to make money, so I chose seeds as my favorite thing. I'm going with the new Meadowlands farm for this run, partly because I haven't played on that map before, and partly because I think money is going to be a pretty big issue early on, and I'm not sure how many crops I'll be able to grow. Having some chickens from the start will help with leveling up farming without needing to rely completely on crops. I don't really know what to expect though, so we'll just have to see how it goes. Alright, with that said, let's get into it. As is the way with every farmer throughout history, I start my life out as a burned out little office worker whose dead grandfather left them some land in a small, rural town. And since I have nothing else left to live for, how could I say no to a free plot of land? So I quit my job on the spot and jump on a bus to Stardew Valley with only 500 gold to my name. After getting off the bus, I'm greeted by Pelican Town's very own certified second hottest MILF who shows me the way to my farm. We catch the mayor doing something inside my farmhouse before I can get inside, so I assume he's setting up cameras or something. It's your lucky day, Lewis, because I'm gonna let it slide. I've got bigger seeds to fry, and besides, I'm going to be so busy for the next 100 days, I don't plan on ever changing my clothes. Now that I think about it, what day is this all happening? It has to be really early in the morning before the first day, right? Unless I arrive on the only winter 28 without snow, maybe. Anyway, once those two finally leave, I can get down to business. Day 1 has arrived, and I wake up to find a present in my living room. It's a box full of hay, just what I always wanted. I won't be needing that yet, but I will save it for a rainy day, literally. There's always so much to do on the first day as a newborn farmer, but first things first. I make my way over to the coop to meet my little chicks and let them out to play. They are named Pickle and Zucchini. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for much better names, so this run is off to a good start. The goals for today are pretty simple. Buy and plant some seeds and get to level 1 foraging. The level 1 foraging will be important since tree seeds don't start dropping until I level up, and I really need to unlock the recipe for spring seeds too. I start by clearing out some space for crops and getting enough wood for a chest. I think I'm going to need a lot of storage in this playthrough since I can't really sell the majority of things I find. After I set up my chest, I start a lap around town to pick up any forage I can find. Eventually, I can make spring seeds, which will be the only thing I can sell for a while. I find a couple carrot seeds on the way, which should help a bit with some free farming experience. Eventually, I make my way to the general store and buy a few seeds, but my bag is already full. I'm going to have to make another trip, so I just grab 6 parsnip seeds to start. I dig up my first artifact on the beach and temporarily drop my stone on the ground so I can carry it to the museum. On my second trip to buy seeds, after struggling to decide which ones to get, I end up buying 8 bean starters and 1 each of cauliflower and potato. Since the beans have multiple harvests, they are the best for farming experience per gold for a run like this. I will need a cauliflower and potato for the spring crops bundle and maybe a quest too, so I better have at least one of each. At this point, as much as I want to work towards it, I really don't have any intention of finishing the community center with my limited resources, but that bundle gives seeds as a reward, so I may as well. After getting back to the farm, I start planting crops. I didn't really have a plan, and I was back and forth on what to do for sprinkler planting, so it ended up looking pretty messy in the end. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to deal with it. To start day 2, I water my crops and I'm reminded how badly I planned them out. Refilling the watering can on Meadowlands Farm is a bit of a hassle, but the closest place to do it seems to be by the chicken coop, so it ends up being a good reminder to pet the chickens. I clear a little more debris around my crops before heading out to collect forage and say hi to some villagers. When I reach the beach, our favorite stinky ocean boy, Willie, gives me a fishing pole. Sorry, Willie, I just came to the beach to forage. I guess I'll grab your pole if you want, but fishing wasn't part of the plan. After foraging what I can, I head back to the farm and plant the few mixed seeds and carrot seeds that I found along the way. I want to work on meeting all of the villagers since it's part of a quest, which is one of the only ways for me to make money outside of selling seeds. At this point, I've gotten a lot of them, but I know I still need to meet the resident emo, Sebastian. I find him in his room, but the door is locked. I'm pretty sure he'll go out for a smoke eventually. Certainly he wouldn't mind a strange farmer that he's never met waiting outside his bedroom door for a couple hours, right? Well, eventually he got sick of hearing my heavy breathing through the door and came out to meet me. Back at the farm, I'm pretty much out of energy, so I do the one thing I can do, weed cleanup. I have a few spring onions I can eat for some tree cutting energy, but after that, I go to bed. On day 3, I wake up to the sweet sound of rain outside. I don't have a ton of crops, but I'll gladly take a day off from watering even my modest farm. Unfortunately, I also find a crow eating one of my crops. I thought this might happen, but there's not much I can do about it since I haven't reached level 1 farming to craft a scarecrow yet. On the bright side, I find my little pickle and zucchini have grown up to be adult chickens and they're starting to lay eggs. I can't sell the eggs, but it is a little extra farming experience each day, and it's also an extra source of energy as food. I make my way around the valley to get whatever forage I can find, and I even get my first dandelion, which means I can craft my first set of spring seeds. I plant my 10 spring seeds, and then I decide to ship 9 pine tree seeds before I head into town. I actually find 2 more dandelions at the bus stop, which is great news for my seed supplies. I finish my foraging loop and make my way back to the farm to craft 20 more spring seeds until some space to plant them. I eat a few spring onions to fuel some tree cutting, but I end up calling it a really early day since I'm out of energy and I don't have much I'm willing to eat. I end up making 45 gold off of my pine tree seeds. Small victories, right? On day 4, I wake up to my first small harvest of carrots. Carrots are a pretty good source of energy, so I'm sure they'll be helpful. After greeting the little ladies in the coop, I water all my crops and make my way to town to do my foraging loops. Watering ends up taking a lot out of me, so I end up using what's left of my energy for some random mining and foraging cleanup around the farm. I end up calling it another pretty early day, but that's okay. Tomorrow, things will start to get busier. I get level 2 foraging overnight, which means I learn to make a kiln. We'll see how things go, but that may come in handy later. It's day 5, which means I've got a few parsnips ready for picking along with a couple carrots. This is big news since it puts me at level 1 farming. I'll have to sleep on it though. The parsnips and carrots will also make good food for energy once the mine opens up. I make my rounds watering and checking in on the chickens before doing a foraging lap around Cindersap Forest. I have other plans for the day though. Spring 5 is a big day in a number of ways. Mayor Lewis finally lets me into the community center and the Junimos make me look like a crazy person as they hide from the mayor. I can't do anything in the community center yet, but this will start the chain of events to start working on bundles. I don't really have big plans to work on the community center too much. My resources are really low in this run, but there are some bundles that have seeds as rewards, so I will be working on those. The real reason this day is special is the opening of the mine. Seed makers are going to require gold, so I'm going to have to make it to at least level 80 of the mine before I hit farming level 9. That shouldn't be too difficult, but I may as well get cracking. Mining nodes, that is. Luckily, Marlin is there waiting to give me a sword. It's really weak, but it's good enough to start. I make it to level 5 pretty quickly, but I'm dangerously low on energy and I'm not about to waste a leak on that. I go home, grab some carrots, and make a chest to put at the mine entrance. With the help of my carrots, I make it down to floor 10, where I get a boot upgrade. I continue down to 14, where I completely miss a club that drops from a crate. Luckily, my luck on this floor is terrible, and I don't find a ladder until after I do a full loop and end up finding the club. This is a huge upgrade from that crappy sword, and I quickly smash the bug that's been chasing me for way too long. Also, just so you know, I definitely wasn't crying from all the bugs, I swear. I try to continue on floor 15, but I'm out of food and energy, so I collect what I can carry from the chest, and after forgetting I don't have working minecarts, start walking home. I find a little retaining soil, so I put that on a few crops, as well as planting and watering the mixed seeds I picked up earlier. The 6th starts off with the town creep. Clint waiting outside my door. Since I found copper yesterday, he's here to drop off plans for a furnace. I'm gonna need that, so thanks, I guess. I also get a letter from Rasmodius, the wizard. I'll make sure to go see him today. First though, I've got to do some watering and pet the babies. I also make sure to make my first scarecrow. I'm way too poor to be losing crops to crows. The wizard gives me a questionable concoction, and I don't ask a single question before I down that thing and start to hallucinate about the Lorax. He must have learned to make this in his time touring with the Grateful Dead. Anyway, I guess I can communicate with the Junimos now, so it was well worth it. Next, I go to the museum. Another place I really didn't have plans to go too crazy finishing in this run, but there are a few rewards that I'd like to try to get. I have a couple of gems and minerals from the trip to the mine yesterday, so I drop those off and get some free cauliflower seeds. Those will be handy if for nothing more than farming experience. I go home and plant the cauliflower and realize that a gold cauliflower would be nice to have for the luau potluck, so I make up some fertilizer and hope for the best. I cut down a few trees for a wood gathering quest and turn it in to Robin for a sweet 200 gold reward. I have other goals though, and like the child I am, I yearn for the mines. I take my 9 spring onions and start digging. My inventory is still only 10 slots, so I end up leaving a lot of things behind. At floor 20, I drop a few things off in the chest and head back in. I make it to 25, but much like in real life, I don't have the energy to go on. On the way home, I give Abigail a snack. Playing hot cross buns over and over can really make you hungry. I also drop by the saloon to give Marnie quartz. She likes that, and I'm planning ahead to get on her good side so I can get into her room later. I start spring 7 with a little foraging in Cindersap Forest, and after picking up a dandelion, I realize I have everything for the spring forage bundle. I turn them in, and I'm rewarded with 30 spring seeds. I have a little cash burning a hole in my pockets, so I pick up a few more bean starters from Pierre. Hopefully, I'm not biting off more than my little watering can arms can chew. I decide to sell the 30 spring seeds. That may have been a mistake, but the farming experience is going to be much better with beans, and I can only water so much. I tried to plan ahead for sprinklers with my bean layout, but I didn't think it through very well, and it just ended up looking awkward. Oops! I fill my pockets with 5 parsnips and make another trip to the mine. This time, I have pretty good luck with ladders and get to floor 30 pretty easily. Floors 30 to 40 are dark, so those can be pretty rough. I don't have any kind of glow ring yet, but my ladder finding luck continues and I make it to 37 before I run out of food and energy. After finding a couple leeks today, I can craft 20 more spring seeds. I put 10 more in the bin and then drop by the saloon to quickly drop off a couple presents for Marnie and Emily, since I don't have much else to do with the quartz right now anyway. Overnight, I make 1,400 gold from my spring seeds. On spring 8, I do my watering and chicken petting before my foraging lap. I end up going to the mine pretty early though, and I brought along some eggs for energy. Along the way, I find a spotted headscarf. I don't really have the inventory space for it, but I can wear it, so this is my new temporary hat. It's very fitting for the mine. At level 40, I get a slingshot, which I leave on the floor. Sorry, slingshot, I just don't need you. I'm in iron territory now, so I can work on a quest for Clint. I'm also in dust sprite territory. I'm not gonna get my hopes up, but they can drop coffee beans, which would really be nice for a seed farm. At floor 47, I'm feeling exhausted and I'm out of food, so that's it for the mine. I find Clint at the saloon and show him my iron ore for a reward of 285 gold. On my way out, I find Linus picking through the garbage. I tell him he's a terrible person and tell him he's gross. Just kidding. I'm always nice to Linus. If he wants to eat garbage food, that's fine by me. Just don't make me watch. Before bed, I decide to sell the other 10 spring seeds I was saving. That's another 350 gold, and I can put that toward an important upgrade eventually. It's spring 9 and another day of lots of watering. I can't wait to get some sprinklers. I grab some spring onions for a trip to the mine and then remember that on the 9th of each season, a seed spot spawns on the north path from the farm. It's not much, but I'll take anything I can get. At floor 46, I already have to eat all of my spring onions. Not a super promising start. I do make it to floor 49 where it's Dust Sprite Central and I get a crystal fruit which will give me some energy to keep going. I get a little boot upgrade on floor 50. Commence the new boot goofin'. By floor 55, it's approaching midnight, so I'm about ready to leave the mine when I spot 2 more dust sprites. There's always time to kill dust sprites. To my shock, the second one drops a coffee bean. After struggling with a slime, I make my way over to drop something from my inventory so I can pick it up. This is an amazing find for this playthrough, since it's one of the few crops that can produce seeds without needing a seed maker. I plant it, water it, and go to bed happy. On spring 10, Marnie is waiting for me with a stray cat. Of course I'll take her, Marnie. Now get off my property. Today, a bunch of spring seeds are finally ready for harvest. It's enough to level up my farming to level 2 and my foraging up to level 3. It also means I get to craft a bunch of spring seeds again. Since I'm going to be able to craft sprinklers starting tomorrow, I decide to prepare my crop layout for the next planting to account for that. I use gravel flooring to mark the sprinkler locations so I can visualize where to start planting seeds. I also try to account for trellis crops blocking things a bit, so I space out the sprinkler rows more than usual. While the thought behind it was reasonable, this turns out to be kind of a bad idea. Oops. Oh well, you live, you learn. This actually takes most of the morning, and all the watering took most of my energy too. I end up finding some spring onions, so I get a bit of energy back from them. Pam wants an iron bar, so I try to track her down. She's not at home, and shockingly not at the saloon either. It will have to wait, I guess. In the meantime, it's mine time. Despite eating the 2 eggs I brought along, I run out of steam at 58 and have to head home. I continue running ore through the furnace while I can to prepare for some sprinkler crafting. Spring 11 starts with a lot of watering. I get to craft my first 8 sprinklers though, so that will help starting tomorrow. I still have some open sprinkler spots, so it'll have to be a work in progress. Robin's axe is lost, so there's an opportunity for some easy quest gold today. Luckily, this isn't my first time finding a lost axe in the woods. Pam is feeling pretty needy this week, and on my way to drop off an iron bar to her, I see there's already another request for a Joja Cola. We'll see if I can scrounge one up. The iron bar turn-in gets me my first prize ticket, so I go over to the mayor's house to check in with the prize machine. The first reward is 12 carrot seeds, which is actually going to be pretty nice for some good quick farming experience and food. I drop off Robin's axe and then make my way into the mine. I actually really like the frozen levels, other than the ghosts that just refuse to die. I'm having some bad luck though, and I run out of energy pretty quickly. I only make it to floor 56, so there's no new progress. I decide to go buy a Joja Cola to complete Pam's quest. It doesn't net me any gold, but moving the needle toward more prize tickets may help me out later. I plant my 12 carrot seeds before bed and craft another 10 spring seeds to sell. I end up with enough iron bars to get up to 10 sprinklers before heading to bed. Watering should be a little less demanding of my energy tomorrow. It's spring 12 and I've saved up enough cash to upgrade my axe. With the egg festival tomorrow, I shouldn't miss out on too much tree cutting, and I really need to do some more mining, so I can't give up my pickaxe right now. Speaking of the mine, Mommy needs some iron. No, seriously, I'm anemic. I actually have a decent stash of food today, including some spring onions, so hopefully I'll make some progress. I find a jade node, so that cheers me up, but while clearing out the dust sprites around it, I get even better news. What's this? Another coffee bean. I have to eat my inventory open a little bit, but that bean is well worth it. It's really gonna help propagate my coffee plants faster. I think that put me in such a good mood that I completely forgot about the jade and I ended up leaving it on the ground. Oops, definitely some sloppy play there. I finally reached level 60 where I struggle a bit before deciding to drop the newly found crystal dagger on the ground. It's getting a little late, so I decide to call it a day. I want to get home and plant my coffee bean before it gets too late too. Today's the egg festival, so it's gonna be a little shorter day than normal. I get my watering done and even set up another 2 sprinklers. I have a little time to kill before the festival, so I do a little floor hopping in the mine to see if there's some easy ore to grab. When I get to the egg festival, I decide to buy 1 strawberry seed. Strawberries are mostly worthless for me in this run, since the seeds sell for 0 gold. Who knows, I may need a strawberry for something later. They aren't bad farming experience for 100 gold either. I tell Mayor Lewis I'm ready to crush some kids' dreams in the egg hunt and he turns us loose. Of course I win and I trade in a spring onion bag slot for a new straw hat. Back at the farm, I decide to go turn in my summer crops at the community center to get my bundle reward of 20 speed grow. This will let me get 3 strawberries instead of 2, so I'm gonna say it's worth it. I'm sure there are other good things I can use this speed grow on later too. On the 14th, I get a decent carrot harvest from my prize machine seeds and I fill in the open slots with some spring seeds and craft another sprinkler. It's raining today, so I don't have to water the crops without sprinklers. I also get to pick up my copper axe, so I make my way over to Clint at the blacksmith. I have some open space for some crops, so I decide to pick up some tulip bulbs to fill in the gaps. They are really cheap, so it's a way to get more farming experience without spending too much money. I end up chopping up a few stumps around the farm with my upgraded axe, but I still have some work to do in the mines, whether it's just to reach the floors where I can start getting gold or to get some ore to make more sprinklers. Luckily, I brought a bunch of carrots with me this time, so energy shouldn't be a problem. I get to floor 66, but it's starting to get late. At least I made another 5 floors of progress with the elevator. I make sure to grab that scarf from the mine chest before I head back home. What's a cat without a hat? Spring 15 marks the start of salmonberry season. I'm probably not going to go crazy with it, but with my limited funds, salmonberries are free energy, so if I walk by a bush, I'll probably shake it. I stop at Robin's shop while I'm out just to see if she's got a special little item. Now, what I do next might be a little controversial, but after I see she's selling an oak chair, I buy it up for 350 gold. You may know where I'm going with this, but if not, you'll see soon enough. I drop off my forage and then make my way down to Cindersap Forest. Now, for the chair. You can use the chair to hop over the log blocking the secret woods. This will let me start collecting a little bit more hardwood each day. Mainly, this just means I can put off upgrading my axe again for a little while longer. In hindsight, it probably wasn't necessary, but I don't feel like it tarnishes the run too much either. Either way, what's done is done. At this point, I'm feeling like the seed selling business is doing a little bit better than I thought it would be at this point, so it got me thinking. Maybe marriage, the community center, and some of the other achievements aren't as far off the table as I thought. Maybe it's time to pick a victim, marriage candidate. I'm a little late to the game, but I think I can branch out beyond just seed selling now. I'll have to give it a bit more thought. Spring 16 is another salmonberry day, so after I take care of watering the crops, I get my forage on again before going to the mine. After hitting level 70, I'm on to the skeleton floors. They aren't tough enemies, but my club is starting to feel pretty weak. They drop bone swords pretty often, so maybe I'll get lucky there. The salmonberries fuel me all the way down to floor 75, but it's almost 1 a.m., so I have to make a mad rush home to make it to bed before I pass out. Spring 17 is rainy, which is great news. I also get a big spring seed harvest, so that's more great news. I can make a bunch of spring seeds to replant and probably have plenty left over to sell. I end up making 90 spring seeds and I have 43 left over to sell. It's another salmonberry day, so I'll do a forage run and see what I can get. I find a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow and a leprechaun hat. This really is feeling like a lucky day. I also find a prize ticket hidden behind a stump in town and get an orange sapling from the prize machine. The rules are that I can't sell it, but that's okay. If I end up working on the community center or friendship with Gus, it may be helpful, and I got it early enough that it will be ready in summer. I see Demetrius is looking for a purple mushroom. It's not super likely, bud, but I'll give it a shot. I have some time to burn, so I go back to the mine again in the afternoon. Maybe I'll have some luck there too. I end up getting a bone sword to drop from a skeleton, and I easily make it to floor 80, where I get a nice boot upgrade. I'll have access to gold nodes now, so I can start stockpiling for seed makers. I power all the way down to floor 85, and I even get a mushroom floor where I find a purple mushroom. What are the odds? On the 18th, I get 2 gold quality cauliflowers, so that should cover my luau potluck needs. In town, Clint is asking to check some gold ore, so I decide to go mining again. Thanks to my trusty salmon berries, I make it to floor 87, but I want to leave early enough to turn in my purple mushroom to Demetrius for that sweet 750 gold. I also finished Clint's request, so I visit Clint. While I'm there, I give him my pickaxe for a copper upgrade. I've got a prize ticket, so I turn that in for 15 flower seeds. I'm going to save those for a later season when the flower options are a bit better though. Overnight, Mr. Key drops mystery boxes, and I hit my first level 5 skill with foraging. Gatherer is the obvious choice with my seasonal forage and crops. Spring 19 gets me my first coffee harvest, so I finally get to start the coffee propagation. I start to lay them out for quality sprinklers, although I'm probably kind of getting ahead of myself. Oh well. I stop by Pierre's to finally pick up an upgraded backpack. Morris follows me in to give out 50% off coupons to Joja Mart. I wish those were real. Seriously though, as much as I like to see Pierre in pain, I really just want my backpack upgrade, so let's hurry this up, Morris. The rest of the day, I cut down a bunch of trees and start planting a bunch of tree seeds around Cindersap Forest. I'm not really desperate for wood, but it doesn't hurt to plan ahead just in case. On day 20, my pickaxe is ready, so that's exciting. I get my upgraded pickaxe, so it's time to mine. I make it down to floor 95, which means I get the obsidian edge. A decent sword, but I like the speed of the bone sword. Still, my club is kinda outdated, so I'll replace that with the obsidian edge for now. It's getting late, so I go home to get some sleep. I hit level 5 mining overnight, so I get to pick a profession. This one is another no-brainer in this run, since I need to craft stuff and I can't sell gems. Miner it is! Spring 21 is a rainy day, so that's great news. I end up with 50 spring seeds and I sell them all. At the traveling merchant, I find a stump chair which has a bit better aesthetic for my secret woods entrance. Even though I absolutely don't need it, I buy it anyway. I feel like things are going well enough that I can waste a little money. Hopefully, it doesn't come back to bite me later. I need some copper, so I go to the mine once again. After getting back, I remember I'm going to need a lot of coal to make seed makers. Luckily, I have plenty of wood, so I craft 4 charcoal kilns to get a head start on that. Spring 22 is another rainy day, and I'll gladly take it. I turn in a parsnip to Pierre for a quest and a little gold. After foraging a bit, I deposit my spoils in my chests, and I start thinking, it may be time to start putting some real effort into the community center. So I fill up my pack with everything I need for the boiler room. This will totally be worth it, right? After that, I head to the mine again. I make it to floor 100 and claim a star drop. On the way home, I turn in a few more bundle items from the mine and then head home to call it a night. Overnight, our Junimo friends repair the mine carts. Yep, totally worth it. Looks like I forgot to feed the chickens with the last 2 rainy days. Sorry, little ladies. Since I guess I'm doing the museum now, I take a trip over there to turn in some gems that I had lying around. I end up getting 9 melon seeds, which is perfect with summer less than a week away. I'm filling out the farm with a lot of tree saplings at this point. Eventually, I'm going to be swimming in wood. As usual, back to the mine in the afternoon. I get to floor 105 pretty quickly and take my first trip back to the farm using the mine cart. I'm totally out of energy at this point, so I gather up what I can for bundles and go to the community center. The construction bundle even gets me another kiln. Overnight, I hit level 5 farming. Honestly, since money isn't a big factor, the profession choice doesn't matter too much. In the end, I picked tiller just so I can get agriculturalist later. Spring 24 is another big day for spring seeds. I make enough to sell 160, which is gonna make for my biggest earnings day so far. I don't think my spring seeds will finish another harvest before the end of the year, so I don't end up planting anything else. I don't have much else I want to do, so I go straight to the spring dance. In hindsight, I probably could have gotten more out of this day, but that's okay. Pierre is selling daffodils and dandelions, and after doing a little math in my head, I decide it's worth grabbing them for the potential of making more spring seeds. Nobody likes me enough to dance with me, so I awkwardly watch all the happy couples. My seed shipment for the day nets me 6,300 gold, which gets me the 15,000 gold achievement. Not too impressive for late spring in a normal run, but I'm feeling pretty good at this point on my seed-only playthrough. This should give me all I need for summer seeds too. On the 25th, I get a few more spring forage and gather some wood for Robin. I sell another 30 spring seeds and then make my way to the mine again. At this point, I don't care too much about getting to the bottom, but I really need gold for seed makers and quality sprinklers. At floor 110, I get an upgrade to space boots. The carrots I brought keep me topped off, and I'm actually having okay luck, and I make it to floor 115 with energy to spare. It is getting a little late though, so I head back to the farm and burn the rest of my energy cutting trees and stumps. Spring 26 is another rainy day. Sadly, I don't have a ton of crops up to benefit from it. Dad sends me 500 gold that Grandpa left for me. Thanks, Grandpa, but also, where was this 25 days ago? Come on, man. I decide it's finally time to build a silo because I really need to clear some grass around the farm, and it's probably good to get that done before summer. Back to the mines. I cruise pretty easily down to floor 120 and get the Skull Key, which makes me remember just how long it's going to take to get to Skull Cavern on my limited income. I burn some carrots for fuel and chop wood for the rest of the day until I realize if I'm going to do the community center, I better start working on fishing too. 26 days in, I finally catch my first fish. It's almost the end of the season, so on spring 27, I try to get my farm a little bit more ready for summer. I get my regular sprinkler rows in order for summer crops and make a few lightning rods. I also decide to start chipping away at a marriage candidate. I grab a gold bar and drop it off with Maru. I've actually never married her before, and she kind of works out well with my late start. I get a carp frenzy right after, so I'm gonna say it's a sign I made the right decision. I fish at the beach until the evening, scarfing salmon berries along the way, and then do some river fishing in town to try to round out my spring fish collection. I end up getting about 2.5 fishing levels in one day, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's the last day of spring. My silo is complete, so it's time to mow the farm just in time for summer. I finally repair the bridge on the beach today. I think I just need the sea urchin for the community center, but so much stuff pops up over there, I figure it's good foraging experience either way. I'm in need of iron again, so I make another trip to the mine. I stop and fish up a ghost fish for the community center before mining though. Before heading home, I fish up to level 3 at the mountain lake. The first day of summer will be a busy one. Of course, summer forage will be important for short-term cash, but as soon as Pierre opens up, I need to get my summer seeds. Hops are going to be the most important for getting the necessary farming experience, but they are also really good for seed making. I want to get some of each crop though, and I try to get a few of each of the other multi-harvest crops. There are bundles and quests to think about too. I end up getting 70 hop starters. I plant those first, since they are trellis crops and I have to make sure they line up right to be accessible. I use fertilizer on the corn and melons since I need those for the quality crops bundle. Basic fertilizer is basically free anyway. My bad planning starts to rear its ugly head after not too long, and I realize I don't have room for all of my hops. It looks like I need to open up a new patch of farmland. The watering is starting to look like a daunting task too. I don't have quality sprinklers yet, and it might be a while until I hit farming level 6. Still, I plan my second plot for quality sprinklers. It will be a huge relief when I finally can make them. I got all of the forage for the summer forage bundle, so I pick up my 30 summer seeds reward too. I have room to plant 21, so I sell the last 9. It's day 2 of summer and my summer crop watering nightmare. I get 8 coffee beans today, and for the first time, I sell them instead of planting more. I just can't commit to watering more crops right now. It probably takes less than half of my energy each day, but it just seems like a lot. At least it's the start of regular coffee bean income though, so that's a positive. At the lake, I fish up the last fish to finish my lake fishing bundle, so I turn that in and get some tackle I can't even use. It's off to the river for some more fishing. Oh look, it's someone's future wife who's easily bribed with gold. In all fairness, gold bars would 100% work on me too. I finish out the evening fishing next to Willie on the dock. Honestly, I don't think he caught anything, and for being a professional fisherman, his cast barely cleared the dock. Sorry, Willie, but I've only been fishing for 4 days now, and I'm clearly the best fisher in town. Now get lost, you're embarrassing yourself. Overnight, I hear an earthquake, which signals the opening of the train station and the spa. It's not too exciting at this point, but maybe I'll plant some trees there. Mayor Lewis informs me that he's lost his shorts. I wonder where they could be. I try to bribe Marnie with an egg, but I realize I'm still not good enough friends with her to go into her room unsupervised. You win this round, Marnie. I find some summer squash seeds, but sadly, I have to just sell them instead of planting. I craft a single crab pot and bait it up in a little pond on the farm. It probably doesn't hurt to waste materials on one if it means I have a better chance at finishing the crab pot bundle. On summer 4, I managed to make a few more spring and summer seeds to sell from forage I still have lying around. Marnie has requested a quartz, which is perfect. It's an easy quest, and I need to build up friendship with Marnie to access the mayor's shorts anyway. On top of that, I'll get a prize ticket. Of course, Marnie is Marnie, which means she's never where you want her to be. I fish up to level 5, assuming she's probably at the bar, and I'll find her in a little bit. It turns out she's not there either. You're killing me, Marnie. Anyway, I finish up the day fishing at the lake, and I even find an ancient doll in a chest. Fishing doesn't really make me any money either way, so I take Fisher at level 5, mainly to get Pirate later. Summer 5 is a stormy day, and I'm so glad I don't have to water crops. I buy a rare seed at the traveling cart and do some rain fishing in the secret woods for a wood skip and a catfish. After giving Marnie her quartz, she gladly lets me into her room to witness the remnants of her depravity with Mayor Lewis. I take advantage of more rain fishing and pick up a red snapper before going to the museum. Turning in the doll to Gunther gets me a starfruit seed, which I will plant despite the extra watering it will need. I fish up a shad, and after I drop that off at the community center, I stop by the carpenter shop to say hi, but I interrupt an experiment and get threatened by Demetrius. Your daughter is mine, Demetrius, so stay out of it. I drop by the mine for just a bit to get some coal for a quest for Clint, and then it's back home to plant my starfruit seed. Demetrius shows up on summer 6, and thankfully it's not about his daughter. He's changed his tune a bit, and he offers me his services as a cave decorator. Of course, I picked the Bat Cave since I'm actually trying to work on the community center now. I chop down a few trees and plant a few around Cindersap. With summer comes the chance for green rain, which makes trees grow a lot faster, so I want to get as many as possible planted before then to really boost up my wood supplies later. I show Clint the coal I collected yesterday and find out that he wants copper ore now too. I make a quick run through some lower floors for copper and then drop by the saloon to let Clint inspect them. I'm starting to get a pretty regular supply of coffee beans to sell now, so I've finally got a little bit more steady income. I've got just enough money to upgrade the coop, so I drop by the carpenter shop to commission Robin. While I'm there, I drop off another gold bar bribe for Maru and then do a little gold mining to finish out the day. Overnight, I hear the sound of a meteorite. Summer 8 is my first summer seed and mixed flower seed harvest. I make 50 more summer seeds, and rather than planting them, I decide I need to invest in something for the community center. I sell all of my seeds directly to Pierre today, so I can buy an apple sapling. I really can't count on the Bat Cave for 3 apples, so if I want to finish the community center, I'll probably need the tree. I fish in the ocean for a bit and then deliver a tuna to Pam. I give my standard gift to Maru and then go home to plant my apple sapling. I also end up with enough forage to craft 20 more summer seeds, which means I have enough to replant everything in my southern field once mixed seeds are added in. Summer 9 is another good coffee harvest day, and I finally hit the threshold for level 6 farming. I get a periwinkle from my crab pot, which means I can finish the crab pot bundle too. Rasmodius has ordered a hit job on 3 ghosts, which seems like something I can handle for 750 gold. I give Harvey a red mullet and some coffee, and while I'm at the clinic, I give Maru a Star Drop tea from the prize machine. Nice outfit, Maru. Maybe we can roleplay with that sometime. I scarf down a few salmon berries and then head into the mine for some ghost hunting. I find a ghost right away and then do some floor hopping to find the next two. At this point, it's after midnight, so I warp back to the farm only to find I'm trapped behind a tree. Thank you, Salmonberry, for providing me the energy to reach my house. On Summer 10, I craft a couple recycling machines. I just realized that I need refined quartz for quality sprinklers, so I'll be in a mad rush today to make that. Today is also Maru's birthday. I've been preparing for it though. I have a gold quality cauliflower with her name on it. That jumps our friendship level all the way up to 7 hearts. You're almost mine, Maru. To celebrate my upgraded coop, I buy a new baby duck from Marnie. To stick with the theme, I name her Eggplant. I turn in my ghost murdering quest to Rasmodius and collect my earnings. I've got some refined quartz ready at this point, so I start crafting quality sprinklers. I end up fishing up a couple broken CDs from my farm pond to get the last of the refined quartz to cover all of my crops. Summer 11 is the big luau event on the beach. Before that, I have to tend the crops though. A crow reminds me that I'm missing a scarecrow by the summer crops. It's just that kind of luck day. At the luau, I throw in my last gold quality cauliflower and the governor is very impressed. Yes, my crops are that good. Since it's a short day, I end up with a little extra energy, so I do some forestry around the farm before bed. Summer 12 is my first hops harvest of the season. With daily harvests, I should start leveling up farming a bit quicker, and I'll be saving all of the hops for seed making later. I stop by the traveling cart, hoping for some red cabbage seeds, but no luck yet. I drop off my pickaxe for an upgrade with Clint just minutes before finding out Clint wants more coal to inspect again. Luckily, coal grows on trees. Well, kinda. Instead of going to the mine, I just make it in my kilns with some excess wood. Clint eventually shows up at the bar, so I show him my coal and claim my prize ticket to get a new single bed. It's just like real life. If I had a nickel for every single bed I've had to haul home from Dave and Buster's, I'd be a millionaire. On Summer 13, Marnie drops by to ask for a cave carrot for her goat. For your goat, Marnie? Anything. I'm 1 gold quality melon away from what I need for the bundle, so I have to buy some more melon seeds. I also know I'm going to need some wheat for the fodder bundle, so I pick up some wheat seeds too. Overnight, I hit level 7 farming. 2 more levels to go. On Summer 14, I get another small batch of melons and blueberries. One of the melons is gold quality, so I have enough to finish the summer crops bundle and turn in 5 melons for the quality crops bundle, which gets me a free quality sprinkler. I pick up my shiny new steel pickaxe from Clint and I go to the mine for a bit, but after seeing there's a rainbow trout frenzy in Cindersap Forest, I warp home to go take advantage of some easy fishing. I end up catching 12 before the frenzy dies down, which gets me up to level 6 fishing. On Summer 15, I get a letter from Pierre with some good news. He's carrying bouquets now, which means I've hit 8 hearts with Maru. It's girlfriend time. I go to pick up the bouquet and also bring along a gold bar, so I have a present to give Maru right away too. Unfortunately, she tries to electrocute me before I can ask her out. I can forgive her though. Yoba knows I've ignored worse red flags. Plus, I've already sunk too much into her to give up now. I have kind of a stockpile of geodes, so I take this opportunity to make a few trips back and forth between the blacksmith and the museum to turn in artifacts. After all that, I still don't get any noteworthy rewards. I go to the mine to hunt for a squid kid for the wizard and eventually find 2 on the same floor. I don't want to miss the turn-in, so I leave the mine a bit early. On the 16th, I end up spending a lot of time harvesting and chopping down trees. I finish the exotic forage bundle with a purple mushroom and then proceed with my forestry journey by planting even more tree seeds by Linus's tent. I craft a bait maker and start making rainbow trout bait. I guess if I do the trout derby later on, that might be helpful. I finally remember to stop in the fruit bat cave. I don't get too much exciting yet, but it does let me craft some more summer seeds to sell, and it gives me a head start on the fall forage bundle. Overnight, I hit level 8 farming. I'm sure there's something I need from a keg, so I guess that's good news. Summer 17 yields my first orange harvest from my orange tree, so I turn that in right away in the community center along with some of the fall forage from the fruit bat cave. I also commission Robin to build another silo. I know I don't need it, but it's pretty cheap and I have the materials for it. It's worth it just to not have to worry about emptying the other one to cut grass around the farm. I head to the blacksmith to get my axe upgraded. I've been saving this upgrade to make sure I don't accidentally have it in the shop when the green rain comes. I don't think it can come during the Trout Derby, so I should have a few days to safely get it upgraded. On summer 18, I get my first maple syrup, so I turn that in for the chef's bundle. Alex wants a rainbow trout, so that's going to be a really easy quest. I plan to upgrade to the iridium rod today, but it turned out to be more expensive than I remember, so I end up settling on the fiberglass rod. I probably could have waited another day, but I didn't want my rainbow trout bait to go to waste if something went wrong and I couldn't buy it. Who needs tackle anyway? I find Alex selling ice cream and I give him his rainbow trout. Sorry, Alex, it was in my pocket, so it's a little ripe. Hopefully the smell doesn't drive off customers too much, bud. The prize ticket I get is worth 4 mushroom logs, which is actually pretty great news. I've been waiting for the green rain to come so I can finally get enough moss to start making them, so this gives me just a little head start. Summer 19 isn't too exciting. I turn in some salmonberry jelly for the artisan bundle as well as 5 corn for the quality bundle. I pick up my upgraded steel axe and then spend the afternoon clearing some trees and replanting seeds for my tree farm. Summer 20 is the first day of the Trout Derby, and Demetrius wants a melon, so this is clearly a very special day. I give Demetrius his melon and have my other chores done by early afternoon, so I pop on down to the Trout Derby to try my luck. Most of the rewards aren't really going to help me much in this playthrough, but getting some fishing experience isn't the worst thing for me. Luck with the trout tags is not great for me today, but after using up all my trout bait, I end up with 33 trout catches and 10 tags. I have to clear out my bags a bit at the farm before I can get all the rewards. Overnight, I hit level 9 farming and level 7 fishing. Summer 21 marks the start of a new era. With level 9 farming, I can finally craft seed makers. I start with 10 and commence the seed making, starting with some corn. The seed making is so fast that it's actually a little hard to get other things done. I end up temporarily moving my kilns over by my seed makers so I can do both at the same time. As I get more coal, I start crafting some more seed makers as well. I don't want to miss the traveling merchant, so I go down to Cindersap Forest quickly to check what's in stock. It turns out she's got a large goat milk, which may save me having to upgrade the barn at all. Turning in a couple more donations to the museum gets me 9 pumpkin seeds, which will be used pretty soon with fall coming up in a week. By the end of the day, I get my first ancient seed from the seed maker, and I end up with 18 seed makers and a ton of seeds to sell. I stay up until almost 2 a.m. and I make over 24,000 gold, mostly coming from 682 hop starters. On Spring 22, I finally see on the TV that green rain is coming tomorrow. That's literally the last day it could come in the summer, so that kind of stings. Oh well, it is what it is. I make a lot of seeds today, including a bunch of crafted summer seeds. When I enter the coop, I find out a new chicken is born. As it turns out, I guess I was holding an egg while trying to retrieve some hay a while back and inadvertently put an egg in the incubator. Now, I understand what my parents meant when they said I was an accident. Anyway, regardless of whether she was wanted, I want her to have a name that fits with the rest of the Coop family, so I name her Wheat. With Maru at 9 hearts, I figure it's time to prepare for marriage, which means upgrading the house. Unfortunately, my future mother-in-law won't cut me a deal. I craft a keg to start making quest and bundle items, and before the end of the day, I clear out a bunch of mature trees and replant their seeds to try to get the most out of the extra green rain growth bonus tomorrow. Spring 23 is finally green rain day. I try to hurry through my harvest so I can get out foraging for some sweet stacks of moss, fiber, mixed flour, and green rain tree seeds. On my way out of the farm, it's kind of satisfying seeing all of those tree seeds I planted turn into rows and rows of fully grown trees overnight. The majority of the rest of the day is clearing brush. I cut down some of the green rain trees to get the seeds, but the main priority is moss today. Hi, Demetrius. Nice outfit, coward. I definitely didn't clear everything, but I feel like I made pretty good progress with all the weed cutting, and I made it back to the farm right around 1 a.m. All told, I got just over 300 moss, 10 green rain seeds, 20 mixed flower seeds, 29 mixed seeds, and almost 600 fiber. I make 30 mushroom logs before bed, but I don't have time to put them out, so that will have to wait until tomorrow. My biggest goal for summer 24 is to get my mushroom logs set up. I had a ton of tree growth, so I need to clear those out first. The mushroom log setup for this seed run is not going to be anything like the optimal for making gold normally. The only mushrooms of value for us this time are actually the common mushrooms, so we want to get as many of those as possible. This means that we want to get as close to 10 trees in range of each mushroom log as possible to make sure we get the maximum mushrooms per day. These trees are ideally not pine, oak, maple, or mystic trees, as they will all make different types of mushrooms spawn at higher rates. Saplings count as trees, but not a specific type, so what I decided to do was put a green rain tree at the center of a 3x3 square of saplings. I fertilized the green rain tree in the middle, which should prevent the other saplings around it from growing to adulthood. Then I can put a 5x5 square of mushroom logs around it. There may be better setups for this, but this seemed super simple, so I just went with it. I was feeling pretty good about my money supply, so I stopped by the blacksmith to upgrade my axe to gold. With all of the tree cutting I was going to do on my farm, it seemed like a good idea. Clint wanted to look at copper ore, so I ate raw fish and floor hopped the lower levels of the mine until I found 35. I delivered the ore to Clint at the saloon, and while I was there, I gave Pam a pale ale. I was pretty low on energy, so I made some seeds and looked for mossy trees on my farm until bedtime. Mostly between summer seeds, hop starters, and coffee beans, I made about 14,000 gold. I wake up on summer 25 to a bigger, badder upgraded house. I'm almost ready for marriage. After harvesting crops, I do a little moss hunting around the farm to try to build up more mushroom logs. George wants a hot pepper, and Rasmodius wants me to murder squid kids again. Who am I to say no to murder? I don't want to waste a bunch of energy breaking nodes, so I do some elevator floor hopping to find them. In the process, I even find a couple diamond nodes that I gladly stop for. I can't sell them, but they are great mining experience, and there are some other uses for diamonds that I might have later. I decide to finally build a barn, so I pay a visit to Robin at the carpenter shop. I think I only need milk and truffles, but I can't bank on the traveling merchant for those, so I am playing it safe. I say hi to my future wife, and apparently she really loves greetings, cause that raised our friendship up to 10 hearts. Rasmodius gives me a prize ticket for my squid kid homicides, and I pick up a pomegranate tree from the prize machine. If I don't get any pomegranates from the fruit bat cave, that tree could be helpful, and it will be producing fruit in time for the last week of fall. I do a bit more seed making and get another ancient seed, which I plant with a bit of speed grow. My hop starters and coffee beans get me almost 13,000 gold again today, but I'm really burning through my supplies of hops, so that's definitely not gonna last forever. Summer 26 is a rainy day. I buy the final backpack upgrade, pick up my gold axe from the blacksmith, and then head down to the beach. Since I hit 10 hearts with Maru, it's time to buy the mermaid pendant. Before I can propose marriage, she introduces me to her AI robot that apparently only took her a few months to build. Sure, why not? Anyway, after it rockets itself out of our lives, she kisses me for the first time, and I, like any normal person, immediately pop the question. Life is so simple in Stardew Valley. I plan to be cutting down trees for the next couple days, so I have Clint upgrade my pickaxe. After collecting more moss and hardwood, I have enough to fill out my third mushroom log square. Summer 27 is another rainy day. Emily sends me some cloth in the mail, which I'll gladly use for a community center bundle. I have my first mushroom harvest, so the seed makers are going to be busy today. I start building up more seed makers, but I'll need to work on getting a lot more coal. I also craft a bee house to get a honey harvest for the community center. I need some cash, so I sell my seeds directly to Pierre today. The bookseller is in town, so I pick up the price catalog for 3,000 gold. I really don't need it, but I thought it might be handy to be able to see prices for the rest of this video. I pay what I can into the vault bundle and end up with a new crystallarium as a reward. I want a few fire quartz first. Gems aren't worth much to me for anything other than raw materials, so when I get what I need, I'll switch it to jade since I'll have access to Skull Cavern soon. After burning through a lot of crops in the seed makers, I clear more trees around the farm until bedtime. Overnight, I hit farming level 10. Artisan is worthless to me, and while agriculturalist isn't great great for someone who's mainly sticking with multi-harvest crops, it's better than nothing. I also hit foraging level 10, so I pick up botanist. It really doesn't help me make money in this playthrough, but it's still worth it for gifting and inventory management, not to mention things like easy points at the Stardew Valley Fair Grange display. Since I got cloth for the first time yesterday, Emily greets me in the morning and offers access to her sewing machine. But Emily, why would I need new clothes when I have seeds? I get a cherry tree out of a mystery box, which is mostly worthless, but I'll plant it anyway. I also get an apricot and a peach out of the fruit bat cave, so I turn those in for the artisan bundle and then complete the vault bundle with some extra gold I have lying around. I start to rearrange sprinklers a bit to prepare for next season, and then I go to the beach to see some moonlight jellies dance. Today is a big day. It's the first day of fall, it's my wedding day, and the Junimos repaired the bus overnight. Apologies to my new wife, but there's no time for a honeymoon. While waiting for Pierre to open up, I update the sprinkler setup to try to make it a bit more efficient for the season. I get my fall seeds and use fertilizer on the pumpkins to make sure I get enough for the quality crops bundle, but after that I go pretty ham with mixed seeds. I didn't look up what grew from mixed seeds in the fall, so I definitely overdid it with eggplants. The seeds are so cheap that they end up just being annoyingly inefficient for seed making. I finish off the ocean fish bundle with an anchovy and then collect whatever fall forage I can find on the way home. Before bed, I get a start on another mushroom log square. Fall 2 is another mushroom harvest. It's a decent day for the fruit bat cave too. I get a cherry, orange, and a pomegranate, and 2 of those will go straight to bundles. Lewis and Robin show me a new quest board, probably because I'm the only one in town getting anything done. The barn is done, so I get a cow from Marnie and name her Pumpkin to stay with the theme. Sebastian wants both a fire quartz and a jade, but unfortunately he's locked in his room and I'm still not good enough friends with him yet. I turn in my pomegranate for the Enchanter's bundle, hazelnut to finish the fall forage bundle, and a cherry to finish off the artisan bundle. I kill a little time trying to get fall rainfish and manage to hook a walleye on my first cast. It's once again time to stand outside Sebastian's door like a creep, waiting to give him some gems. I catch a couple eels on the beach, which gives me what I need to finish off the night fish bundle, so I drop those off at the community center. I finish out the evening grinding with my seed makers and kilns, which nets me over 16,000 gold for the day just from fall seeds. On fall 3, I upgrade my coop. I'm going to need to get a rabbit's foot and ideally some wool, so I'm going to want to start raising rabbits as soon as possible. I buy a bus ticket and visit the desert for the first time. I buy some seeds, plant some tree seeds, forage, and fish up both varieties of desert fish before heading into Skull Cavern for the first time. I'm still using the bone sword, which really makes combat slow against the tougher enemies here. I make it to floor 58 and warp out just in time to make it to bed. I ended up getting 51 iridium ore and an iridium bar, so it was a really good first trip to Skull Cavern for me. Mr. Key also noticed my first day in Skull Cavern and offered me a quest to make it to floor 25. I think since I already made it much deeper, the quest counts as being finished. We'll see if I get my reward. I turn in my sandfish catch from yesterday at the community center to complete the last fishing bundle. I go hook angler on my first cast in an attempt to get some good fishing experience. Eventually, I find Demetrius to deliver a carp and pick up the Book of Friendship from the prize machine. Overnight, the Junimos remove the boulder up by the mountain lake. It's going to be pretty worthless for this playthrough, but it is an indicator of progress toward the community center completion. After struggling with a decorative lantern while trying to check the TV, I make my way outside to see that I did get credit for making it to level 25 of Skull Cavern, and Mr. Key sent me 10,000 gold in the mail. I'm already getting some fall harvests, and I have a batch of mushrooms available again today too. I drop by Marnie's to buy a milk pail to milk Pumpkin, and I buy a new baby rabbit from her too. Sticking with the naming convention, I will call this new rabbit Carrot. The traveling merchant has a truffle today. It's 3,125 gold, which is not cheap, but I think buying it will save me from buying a pig and worrying about any barn upgrades at all for that matter, so it's well worth it in this case. Willie gives me a copper pan, which I will permanently toss into one of my lovely chests. I work on fishing experience at the beach for a bit and manage to get up to level 8. On fall 6, I get a second rabbit from Marnie, who I name Lettuce. I really don't want to be waiting on wool or a rabbit's foot for the bundles, so it probably doesn't hurt to have a second rabbit to increase my chances. I grab a few purple mushrooms for food and then head over to Skull Cavern for another day of mining. I get my first dinosaur floor today, so after what seems like thousands of swings with my bone sword, I end up getting a couple bones for the museum and a dinosaur egg. I also pick up a tempered broadsword, but it's kind of slow. Still, I'll carry it around in addition to the bone sword for fighting serpents. At about 11 p.m., I get a slime floor, which would take forever with my weapons, so I just go home for the day. I need to start my dinosaur incubation anyway. I've got a few first harvests on fall 7, including cranberries and amaranth. I give Marnie an amaranth for her quest and then drop off some of the dinosaur bones from yesterday at the museum. Cracking a few geodes gives me a couple more donations to the museum as well. I give Pierre a cave carrot and Willie a super cucumber as requested, and then buy some rice from Pierre to do some cooking. I need an omelet and a maki roll for the chef's bundle, which rewards me with 3 pink cakes. They will look so nice sitting inside a chest. I switched my crystallarium to jade today to start building up supplies to trade for staircases at the Desert Trader. After some seed making, I go out in search of some blackberries and the missing basket. Of course, I find his basket along the side of the road, but honestly, I really don't know how he lost this. You own like one thing, Linus, and you can't keep track of it? I have a little time to kill today, so I get a bus ticket right before Pam heads home for the day. After just 11 floors in Skull Cavern, my inventory is spilling over and I call it quits. I still have a bunch of seed making to do anyway. The mining today was enough to hit level 9, which means I can craft a crystallarium. I also make over 18,000 gold in seeds today. On fall 9, I check in with the coop babies and find a duck feather, so I'm just missing the red cabbage for the dye bundle now. That's a stressful one, cause it all comes down to luck. I've also finally collected 24 eggs so I can turn them into Gus for his giant omelet. I grab a few purple mushrooms and take another trip to the desert. This time, I've got a solar essence to feed the dragon bones, and I brought more tree seeds to plant too. It's not a super productive day in Skull Cavern, but I'm partly here just to get some stone for Robin's resource rush, so I'm not too upset about it. When I get home, I finally craft more furnaces to work through my ore faster, and I make another crystallarium for Jade too. I'm up to 8 furnaces, so now you know things are going really well. I'm sure you're impressed. Overnight, I get level 8 combat, which opens up explosive ammo. What are the odds I remember to buy some and start carrying around the slingshot? On fall 10, my apple tree has made its 3rd apple, so I complete the fodder bundle and even get rewarded with a heater for my coop. I also drop off an eggplant and yam for the fall crops bundle and deliver a smallmouth bass to Robin for a daily quest. I take another trip to Skull Cavern to get some more stone for Robin's resource rush and maybe get lucky with some other good finds. Unfortunately, the most noteworthy event is intervening in some unrequited slime love. I craft some summer wild seeds using some freshly harvested grapes and sell another batch of hop starters for around 7,000 gold. Overnight, one of the rabbits produced wool, so I go to finish the animal bundle, which rewards me with a cheese press. Sandy has requested a copper bar, so I decide to head to the desert. After almost forgetting the copper bar, I grab a gift for Sandy and some tree seeds to plant in the desert as well. I enter Skull Cavern to kill the rest of the day and look for more stone for Robin's quest. I didn't bring much for food, so I was low on health most of the time. I overstayed my welcome going for one last iridium node and got knocked out by a serpent. Luckily, very few items have much value in this run, so the gems and cave carrots I lost were no big deal. Selling some corn and broccoli seeds gets me another 4,000 gold, and I go to bed early since my health and energy are so low. Fall 12 is my first pumpkin harvest day, which means I will be completing the fall crops and quality crops bundles, assuming I get enough. Since I used quality fertilizer, I end up with 19 at gold quality, so there are plenty to spare. Mushroom logs are also ready again today, so I harvest those and do the usual seed making. I grab a cheap wine from a keg for the Enchanter's bundle, and on the way to turn in my bundles, I see Linus has requested corn. Luckily, as any good farmer does, I just happened to be carrying around a pocket full of corn. Seed making really eats up the day, so I don't have much time for anything else. I finish off the 4th mushroom log bank, clear out some trees around the future greenhouse, and prepare a few iridium sprinklers for the greenhouse as well. It turns out to be another big seed day, totaling over 20,000 gold. Overnight, the Junimos rebuilt the greenhouse, so after taking care of harvests, I make my way over to start setting things up. I had originally planned to fill the whole thing up with the same crop for seed making. Hops and blueberries are roughly tied for the most gold per day from seeds, but they also take the most time to make seeds. Corn takes the least seed making time, but earns about a third less money. Cranberries seem like a good compromise, making more money than corn, but only having to deal with 2 berries every 5 days. Unfortunately, I don't have enough cranberry seeds stockpiled, so I end up throwing a mix of things in there, including coffee. It may have been a waste of seeds, but I'm leaving the cleanup for future Kita. After the greenhouse debacle, I don't have much to do, so I crack some geodes at the blacksmith and then buy the rest of the stone needed to finish Robin's quest. The reward is enough to cover what I spent on stone, so I'm calling it a win. For the rest of the day, I do some random beach fishing to try to level up. Fall 14 isn't too eventful. I harvest and replant whatever needs it and then head to Robin's to move the greenhouse a little closer to the house and other crops. I ship a few seeds, cut down a few trees, and call it an early day. The following morning, I get a letter from Lewis reminding me that the Stardew Valley Fair is tomorrow. I'll have to prep for that later. It's a big harvest day with crops and mushrooms, so most of the morning is devoted to making about 25,000 gold in seeds. I have almost enough seed makers now to make a continuous loop without having to wait for seeds to finish, but I'll have to add a few more to fully streamline the seed making process. I head into town to check for any new quests and see that Gunther wants some bones. Who doesn't love a good bone from time to time? I head into the mine to spend the rest of the day farming skeletons on floors 70 to 79, and by bedtime I'm about 1/3 of the way done. I have to get home a little early though. With the fair tomorrow, I want to pick out my Grange display items to get as many points as possible. I don't mind the games, but I've done this enough that I kinda just want my rewards. So after I set aside my best stuff, I hit the sack. The day of the Stardew Valley Fair has finally arrived, so I'm not going to have time for much else today. I work on getting my daily harvest and seed making done, but what's this? My sweet gem berries are ready. I'm still not used to agriculturalist, and paired with deluxe speed grow, that was really fast. I'm going to have to make a quick detour to the secret woods. After trading my sweet gemberry and maybe a small part of my soul, Old Master Cannoli goes full demon form and gifts me a star drop. Anyway, I eat a fruit the size of my head in one bite, as one does, and I head over to the fair. I make a beeline to the Grange display, and after filling it up with all of my shinies, I prepare to rub my victory in Pierre's face. I finish with a score of 119, which isn't too bad for the first year, especially for a seed-only run. From here, there's just one place to go, the green and orange spinny wheel game, which of course is rigged. Basically bet about half of what you have on green every time, and eventually you have enough star tokens to buy everything from the shop. I get my second star drop of the day, prize ticket, and rare crow, and while I don't care too much about the rest, I may as well buy everything. You can't take star tokens with you after all. There's just one more stop to make before heading home. On odd-numbered years, you can make your way behind Pierre's shop to access the area by the bookseller. There's a prize ticket hidden in the little fenced area in back, which is separate from the one you can get on non-festival days. It probably wasn't intended to be there or accessible, but hey, I'll take a free prize ticket. With that, I'm headed home. On fall 17, there isn't too much to harvest, but I get some cranberries, so I make some more seeds and finish planting in the greenhouse. It's definitely not the ideal setup for seed profits, but I'm just gonna go with it for now. I have a couple prize tickets from the fair, so I head over to Lewis's house and pick up a combat manual. Demetrius wants me to catch some sardines, so I go down to the beach for a bit. While fishing, I remember I was supposed to be collecting bones for Gunther, so as soon as I get my last sardine, I make my way to the mine and farm some skeletons before burning a farm warp totem just before 2 a.m. Fall 18 is another day where there isn't much to do on the farm. The greenhouse is still missing a few sprinklers, so I have to water the edges manually. I'll probably just wait until the fall crops are done and move some of those sprinklers inside later. It's back to the mine again to try to finish the fragments of the past quest, and after a few floors of killing skeletons, I managed to hit 100, so I make my way over to turn them in at the museum. I'm not sure what else to do, so I decide to go to the beach and fish next to Willie in silence for the rest of the day. I don't think he caught a single fish, but I know my presence made him happy. Overnight, there was the sound of a falling tree. I'll have to remember to check on that later. Today is another mushroom log harvest, so it's a big seed making day. After taking care of all of the farm chores, I call it quits on seed making around noon so I can go to the Skull Cavern. There isn't anything I need in there too badly, but I would kind of like to get level 10 in all my skills, and both combat and mining still need a little work. It's not too eventful, but I did end up hitting level 10 mining. A serpent dropped a spicy eel, so I tried to clear out some space by making bombs. Turns out I still had to set the bombs down to pick up the eel. I was standing facing a ladder, so instead of eating it, I went down the ladder when I clicked, leaving my 5 freshly crafted mega bombs on the ground. Anyway, I make it back to the farm with just a bit of time to sell seeds and put away loot. All told, I got a little over 14,000 gold. It's fall 20, and today I get a batch of cranberries and corn, so it's a big morning of seed making, including the rest of the mushrooms from yesterday. I also make my way down to Cindersap to check out the fallen tree. The stump can be fixed up into a house for 100 hardwood, so I blow most of what's left of my hardwood load. For making money, it probably would have been better to make some more mushroom logs, but I'm doing okay for money, so I figured I would stop and smell the roses. Turns out the roses really smell like trash pandas. I burned a lot of the day on seed making already, so I decide to do some random stuff around town. I see Clint is looking for a diamond. Looks like it's his lucky day since I can't sell them. I turn in a crystal fruit for the winter forage bundle and then finish out the day fishing at the mountain lake. It was a pretty good day for seeds, and I end up with over 22,000 gold for the day. I wake up on fall 21 to some good luck from the fortune teller on the TV, so I decide to take another trip to Skull Cavern. First, I have to do my daily chores, but I also stop at the traveling cart and find a rabbit's foot. I think I'll probably get one pretty soon from one of my 2 rabbits, but I don't want to take the risk of missing out on a bundle item, even if it's almost 3,000 gold. I end up not getting to the desert until early afternoon, but I don't really have any specific goals there other than killing stuff to level up and maybe getting lucky with mining, so that's okay. While fighting some serpents, guess what dropped? A rabbit's foot. Of course, that's my luck. I try to stay as late as I can and have to take a warp totem back. Other than fighting some dinosaurs and getting 1 new bone, not much else exciting happened. I ended up with a little over 5,000 gold in seeds for the day. On fall 22, I turn in the new bone I found to Gunther, but I don't get any new rewards worth mentioning. On the way, I pick up a new quest from the board. Demetrius wants me to murder a bunch of fish again, so I guess I'll have to set aside a day this week for that. I turn in a rabbit's foot to complete the Enchanter's bundle before heading back to Skull Cavern. It's another non-eventful run, although I do manage to get all the way to floor 57 with my terrible weapons, so that's reassuring. Fall 23 is a big harvest day again, mainly from mushroom logs, so I'm pretty busy all morning with seed making. I add a few new seed makers to try to speed things up, but they finish so fast it probably doesn't help to make any more. I use the rest of the afternoon to do some river fishing for Demetrius and then start adding on to the mushroom log plantation. Since a big part of the day was seed making, I don't get a whole lot done, but I do make about 28,000 gold, so that's nice. It's fall 24, and according to the fortune teller, I don't really have much luck on my side today, but I decide to head to Skull Cavern anyway to try to kill some ghosts for the wizard's quest. Ghosts are really annoying with my weak weapons, so I'm glad to find a couple ghosts early on to get that quest out of the way. It's the final day for the quest though, so I can't stay too late in Skull Cavern if I want to turn in the quest. I remembered to bring some bombs with me this time, so I'm definitely willing to kill some mummies too. After stacking up a couple, I set up a bomb and look what drops. It's my first prismatic shard. I was really overdue for this, and honestly, I can't believe I went so long in Skull Cavern with a bone sword as my go-to weapon. I decide to do a few more floors before going to get my new galaxy sword and turning in my quest. To my surprise, I spot a mystic stone node. These are usually super rare, so I was really surprised to see it. They have a 25% chance to drop a prismatic shard, so it's not exactly likely, but there's a chance. Sure enough, I got a second prismatic shard. Okay, well, I still have some time before the quest is due, so I keep going. A few floors later, I spot another mystic stone node. What are the odds? I do have to fight a couple serpents before I can crack it open though. As I dispatch the serpents, one of them drops another prismatic shard. At this point, I can only laugh. Okay, now for the mystic stone node. At 25%, I'm probably not getting another prismatic shard, right? And out pops my fourth prismatic shard. At this point, I don't even have anything to use these for other than a museum donation, but this is still pretty exciting. I kind of want to keep going with this crazy lucky streak I've got going, but I also want to grab my new sword and I don't want to miss the quest turn-in, so I leave Skull Cavern for the day. I hold my stack of 4 prismatic shards in triumph as I walk into the center of the pillar triangle. Finally, I have a decent weapon. I hop on the bus and tell Pam all about my adventure for the day. Too bad she's drunk and won't remember. I run down to see the wizard and turn in the quest, and I'm in such a good mood, I decide to give him a purple mushroom. Pay it forward, right? There's a little time left to kill, so I do some more river fishing for Demetrius. I finish the quest and even hit level 9 fishing in the process. Fall 25 is a pretty good harvest day with some cranberries, coffee beans, and grapes all being ready. Unfortunately, a lot of eggplants too. They're almost not even worth picking for making seeds. I head into town to turn in a couple prize tickets and I get a cow to put on my wall, so that's pretty exciting. I put it over the bed in hopes that it will protect me at night. I still don't know if my wife does secret experiments on me while I sleep. With my prismatic shard haul yesterday, I decide I don't really have anything better to do with them, so I donate one to the museum. Unfortunately, it doesn't earn me any of the good rewards yet. For lack of anything better to do, I head to Skull Cavern again. At worst, I can maybe work on getting my combat to level 10, and if I'm lucky, maybe I can find some red cabbage seeds. I still haven't gotten any from the traveling cart, and that's really the only thing stopping me from finishing the community center in year 1. There's a really small chance to get them as a drop from monster kills in there, but I'm not getting my hopes up, especially after I used up all of my luck getting prismatic shards yesterday. After all afternoon and evening in Skull Cavern, I end up getting pretty close to level 10 combat, but otherwise, there wasn't much to show for it. On Fall 26, to my surprise, Gunther is waiting at my door. He informs me that the museum got recognition for all of my donations, and he gives me the key to the sewer. Nice. I'll have to go check on everyone's favorite Shadow Daddy Krobus later. I guess that prismatic shard donation may have been a good idea after all. The fortune teller says I will have good luck today, so I decide to head back to Skull Cavern one last time to level up my combat. First, I wanted to check out the traveling cart to see if she was finally going to sell me a red cabbage seed. No luck. At this point, it's starting to look like I'm not going to get the community center finished by day 100. It's not that big of a deal since I really didn't think I was going to get enough money and resources to even bother trying, but after the seed business started to take off, I really thought I could pull it off. I'm mostly in Skull Cavern for the combat experience, so I'm happy to see any monsters I can find. It's much less stressful with the new galaxy sword, and after a few serpents, I get another really lucky break when a random red cabbage seed drops. I know it's just a seed, but it feels on par with the prismatic shards from the other day. My hopes for the community center are alive again. Shortly after, I get an infested dinosaur floor, and while clearing that out, I get the notification that I've leveled up. Combat is level 10, so I never have to go to a mine again. At least, not in this playthrough. I finish the floor, but I want to get home right away to plant my red cabbage seed. I get rid of one of my grape plants and put the red cabbage in its place with some speed grow. I even give my new baby cabbage some extra water. The only skill left to level is fishing, so it looks like that's what I'm going to be doing for the next few days. Since I have the sewer key, I decide to fish there for the chance of catching the mutant carp, one of the easier legendary fish. He should give some decent experience. Surprisingly, I hook him on the second cast and he doesn't put up much of a fight. I don't want to just catch carp for the rest of the night, so I head to Cindersap to fish until bedtime. Fall 27 means it's the Hallows Eve festival today, so I'm going to have limited access to town while the event is being set up. It works out okay though, because it's another mushroom log harvest day, so there's going to be a lot of seed making. I decide to make a few more mushroom logs with the hardwood and moss that I have left. I also find a mushroom tree seed, which seems like the best tree to use at the center of my little mushroom plots, so I chopped out the green rain sapling I had going and replaced it with the mushroom seed. Hopefully the tree fertilizer is enough for it to pass up the other saplings. My whole morning was spent with seed making, so I decide to spend the rest of my day fishing in the river until the festival starts. I catch a decent number of fish, but I'm starting to regret not getting the iridium fishing pole and stocking up on more bait. I'll have to do that tomorrow since I can't access the beach today. This last level of fishing is rough. When the festival starts, I make my rounds to all the villagers I can find, including Harvey, who is in the fetal position in the bushes. Now that's my kind of man. He probably saves a lot of money on saline solutions by just using his own tears. How resourceful. Anyway, I finish the maze to grab the golden pumpkin and I pick up the Halloween rare crow before calling it a night. It's the last day of fall and we're in the home stretch. Outdoor crops are pretty much done after today, other than any powder melons and winter seeds I can get. I do my usual harvest and then head over to the beach for some hardcore ocean fishing. I decide to go all in and upgrade to the iridium rod and I load up on bait. Willie comes out for a bit to watch me from afar, but I don't acknowledge him. Sorry, Willie, I know I've changed my tune on fishing, but you're still not my type. There's a bit to go until level 10 fishing, but we have winter starting tomorrow, which means we'll have access to some higher experience fish like squid. Off to bed. See you in the winter. It's the first day of winter, so all of my crops are dead. I have 6 powder melon seeds ready to go, and I can make some winter seeds with the seed maker from Winter Roots. I go out to check for forage before making my way to the beach to fish. I park my booty on the dock, and after a couple hours, Mayor Lewis comes out of the fish shop. That's a long time to be in there, Mayor Lewis. What were you guys doing? I get back to the farm with a little time to plant a few more powder melon seeds and the winter seeds that I made, and I even throw some deluxe speed grow on them, cause hey, why not? On winter 2, I make some seeds from the cranberries and corn in the greenhouse, but at this point, I mostly care about finishing the community center and leveling up my last skill, fishing, up to level 10. Willie also sent me a letter requesting a squid, so I'll have to work on that later. While doing a foraging lap around the valley, I remember I can catch the legendary glacier fish in winter. I'm only level 9 with no buffs, but it should be doable and the experience earned would be good. I managed to hook him on the first cast, and after a couple close calls, I reel him in. After catching my second squid at the beach, I hit level 10 fishing. It's finally over. I give Willie a squid and he seems pretty stoked. I guess he really likes tentacles for some reason. Feeling pretty good about my level up, I end up heading to bed a bit early again. I think winter is going to go pretty quick now that I'm tying up a lot of loose ends in this challenge. Overnight, I picked up Pirate Profession since Angler really doesn't do anything for me in this run. On day 3 of winter, I get a mushroom log harvest, so there's a lot of seed making to do. Since I hit level 10 fishing, it means I can start getting points toward mastery, so I'll take all of the easy experience I can get. That means I'm also going to be heading into the coop to finally pick up all of the eggs on the floor. In the greenhouse, my red cabbage is ready, so I'll be making my way to the community center today too. I also find a nautilus shell on the beach. In the community center, the Junimos are pretty impressed. I give them my red cabbage and nautilus shell to complete the bulletin board bundle, and they give me another star on their board. On day 4 of winter, I get a nice letter from the mayor. Apparently, my bundle completion has made everyone in town finally start liking me. Sorry, villagers, the feelings aren't mutual. I will only ever love my seeds. Gus decides to visit me after my greenhouse harvest to show me his pot stirring skills and to give me a jukebox. Thanks, Gus. It's just what I've always needed to sit idly in the corner of my living room. The rest of the day is kind of a bust. I don't find my missing snow yam, and I don't get any ghosts to drop ectoplasm for the wizard's quest. I do find 35 ore for Clint, so I guess that's a small consolation. On winter 5, I wake up to a slew of letters in my mailbox from villagers around town. The friendship gains from completing the bulletin board bundle are really taking their toll. Anyway, despite the full mailbox, I can tell this is going to be a good day because I can see a snow yam among my crops, meaning today is the day I will finish all the bundles for the community center. First, I start a round of seed making and plant any new winter seeds I get. It's Friday, so I also take a peek at the traveling cart's stock. Guess what finally showed up? Red cabbage. I don't really need it anymore, but I decide to pick up another one just for fun. After rejuvenating the last room of the community center, the Junimos bid me farewell. I plant the 30 winter seeds from the bundle reward, but after that, I'm calling it an early day. Overnight, the Junimos repair the bridge to the quarry. I'll have to check that out tomorrow, although it's probably not good for much beyond mastery experience at this point. It's day 90, so we're on the home stretch now. Clint sent me a letter asking me to give Emily an amethyst. They're worthless to me, so I'll gladly drop one off and take all the credit. First, I sell some seeds and then head into town to see the opening ceremony for the community center. I peer pressure Pierre into fighting Morris, and after putting a hole in the roof and a likely homicide, everybody else in town goes back to their normal business. With all the friendship bonuses from the community center, I'm getting cut scenes wherever I go now. Today, it seems like every room I enter, I have to solve a problem, like Haley not cleaning, Pam not paying, Marnie and Lewis secretly sampling non-kosher food together, and Linus showing me something disgusting in his tent. I decide to start clearing the quarry out, and I even find a mystic stone. Against the odds, I manage to get another prismatic shard. Nice, but I don't think it's getting used in this playthrough. I have a refined quartz, which Pam wants for some reason, so I decide to drop it off with her before the quest expires at the end of the day. Luckily, Pam isn't too hard to find if you know where they keep the beer. Day 91 starts with Pierre waiting at my front door. I don't want to hear about your seeds, Pierre. I'm the seed kingpin, so get lost. I end up burning a few hours on seed making, but I get a big haul, so I'll probably get some decent cash from it all. Willie tells me about his boat that needs repair, and I start gathering the necessary ingredients. As it turns out, I need 200 hardwood, not 100 like I thought, so I end up just donating my 5 batteries for the ticket machine and 5 iridium bars for the anchor. I'm a little bummed since it will probably take a few days of secret wood stump grinding to get up to 200, but I guess it doesn't really matter for this playthrough anyway. Winter 8 is the ice festival. It really doesn't help me much to go, but I may as well enjoy my success and just do it. Beforehand though, I do want to do a lap around town. I end up getting some more winter seeds, but I also meet up with the wizard at the train station. He sends me to Krobus to unlock the path to the witch's house. Krobus gives me the best compliment ever and sends me off to my death in a bug cave. Luckily, I really am quite sturdy, and I recover the dark talisman after a completely normal amount of crying. I don't think I have time to trek back up to the train station without missing the ice festival, so I go to rub my supreme fishing skills in the face of the other villagers. I also pick up the winter rare crow from the traveling merchant while I'm there too. I'm doing pretty well for money, so why not? I proceed to kick everybody's butt with 7 fish caught during the competition, and I get some lovely prizes to drop into an unmarked storage chest for all eternity. At this point, I'm on track to get way further than I thought, so I decide to take care of whatever quests I can and try to spruce up the farm a bit. I head up to the train station to open up the path to the witch's swamp, but I can't get in without some void mayonnaise. I don't have a void chicken, so I'm stuck trying to fish some up in the swamp. It takes a couple hours, but eventually I reel one in and use it as my ticket into the witch's house. I grab the wizard's magic ink and teleport back to his tower. I won't be getting any of the newly unlocked buildings in this playthrough, but it's nice to have this quest done anyway. I do a little rearranging on the farm, but I don't have enough time to go too crazy. I'll have to work on making it look better over the next few days. It's winter 10 today, and I really want to get all of the materials to fix the boat, so I go see if I have any mahogany trees left in the desert. I have 2 ready to be cut down, and that's enough to put me past the 200 hardwood mark. I turn in the hardwood and pick up some coal in the quarry to finish another quest for Clint while I'm at it. I try to get a bit more redecorating done on the farm today too. It's not super pretty, but I don't have much time left, and it's a little late to be moving crops and mushroom logs around. It ends up looking a bit more organized at least. Overnight, Willie and Robin fix up the boat, so maybe I'll take a ride tomorrow. On Winter 11, I take care of a few things around the farm first, but the main goal for today is to go to Ginger Island, so I pay Willie 1,000 gold for a boat ride. You'd think after single-handedly gathering all of the materials, he'd give me free tickets. Eventually, I head up to the volcano dungeon, and after clearing 5 floors, I find the volcano dwarf and realize I'm this far into the game, and I still can't speak to dwarves. I continue on and make it to the last floor, where I get another prismatic shard and a couple more golden walnuts. I have enough cinder shards to take a shot at an enchantment, and I think the pickaxe has the biggest upside with my current toolset. I managed to get the swift enchantment, which just happens to be the best case scenario for me. It's getting a little late already, but I have enough time to unlock the farm area and pick up a few more walnuts scattered about before warping back home. It's day 96, and I get a little seed making done in the morning, but it's back to Ginger Island after that. I try to get some golden walnuts from a memory crystal game, and after a sad number of attempts and many wasted hours, I finally succeed. That puts me over the threshold to get the Ginger Island farmhouse unlocked, so I start to clear debris and plant a few crops. Winter 13 is the second day of the Squid Fest, and since I skipped the first day, I feel a little bit obligated. I have some squid bait prepared already, so it shouldn't be too hard to get all of the prizes today. I get a slow start, but eventually they start rolling in. Apparently, I don't look like a professional squid angler though, cause Willie comes up behind me and holds me as I reel one in. I'm very touched that you would try to help Willie. Actually, a little too touched. I managed to get my 10th squid around 2 p.m., which gives me some time to poke around Ginger Island a little bit more after I pick up my prizes. My bags are full, so I'm a squid person for a little while until I can place my chest on Ginger Island Farm. Winter 14 is a pretty light day for seed making, and there's not much else to do, so I go to Ginger Island again. I end up getting enough golden walnuts to free Professor Snail. Otherwise, there wasn't much progress, and I feel like a lame duck with only 2 more days to go. Day 99 is my last mushroom log harvest of the challenge, so I spend most of the morning making seeds. I check out the night market and go deep sea fishing just for fun. Before bed, I round up most of the leftover seeds I have saved up and sell those to boost up my total revenue as much as I can before the end of the challenge, and I end up making over 40,000 gold in seeds. Just one more day. It's Winter 16, and that's day 100, so this is it. I make whatever seeds I can in the morning, but otherwise, there isn't much I can do now. I go to Ginger Island one more time in hopes of finding some pineapple seeds, but I don't end up with much to show for it. I head home and sell a few more tree seeds before bed. And the final total is 686,186 gold. I didn't get to the 1 million mark, but for a seed-only run, I am actually really impressed with the final number. After going through all that, it's surprisingly satisfying seeing an empty collection tab, other than coffee beans, of course. Since coffee beans are the one thing that's tracked, I can at least kind of get an idea of how much money came from coffee versus other seeds. Since most of those will be normal quality, we're looking at roughly 45,000 gold coming from coffee beans, which is less than 7% of total revenue. It looks like maybe coffee wasn't as big of a deal as I initially thought. I really wish I would have more closely tracked how many seeds of each type I sold on a daily basis. If I had to guess, fall seeds from mushrooms were probably the biggest individual contributor. Looking back, I think I could have done a lot of things differently, and knowing what I know now, I probably could hit 1 million gold in 100 days, especially if I got an earlier green rain. There was way more money than I expected in seasonal forage seeds, and I would definitely prioritize certain crops differently, including more hops, corn, cranberries, and less eggplant and other single harvest crops that aren't needed for bundles or quests. As much as I hate to say it, I think going the Joja route would lead to more revenue too, with earlier access to the greenhouse and Ginger Island. Pineapple seeds are pretty pricey, so I think you could really go ham by getting those set up earlier too. It was quite the endeavor though, and I don't think I'll ever be retrying this challenge. So what do you all think? Will any of you give this challenge a try? I'd love to hear how you do, or if you have any changes you would make to the challenge. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed coming along for the ride. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, please give it a like and subscribe, or come say hello on Twitch. Until next time, goodbye.